All right, welcome back. On realcopstoriesvideos.com, over 370 cop stories. Please look them up. They're all my babies. Officers getting shot in the coffee room. One guy on PCP because he put his nose in the wrong bag. Look all these up, man. They're all my babies, every one of them. In addition to that, we have over 200 question and answers. So ask me a question, and I'll respond to you directly, and then we'll put it on video. Okay, so ask me a question. Email me at rsbcopstories@gmail.com. Okay, so someone wrote in and said, what did you do to become a police officer? This is going to take a while, so I'll start at the very beginning, okay? Very beginning. Being from a Mexican family, 3 sisters, my mom didn't want me to do anything. I had a job at the electric company before I came in the Corps. She wanted me to just be like all the girls, just be very safe and just stay at home and pretty much don't do anything. So, I joined the Corps. Her head exploded. Okay. Vietnam was hot and heavy. She thought I was going to die every day. And okay, fine. So I go to Nam, obviously. As Marines do. So I'm in Nam about 5 months. I'm 20 years old. I turned 21 there. I was considered the old man, believe it or not. Everybody there was average age was 18. So I was in charge of a squad. I was a sergeant and all that good stuff. Okay. So I really wanted to become a police officer. So I wrote a letter to the city police department. All I wrote was the agency, care of the agency. I put the police department in Los Angeles, California. I didn't even know the zip code, okay? They didn't know zip codes then anyway, pretty much. And so I got a reply, and I got an application. So in Vietnam, at times I could get to a pen and paper and things were dry. I filled out the application, sent it back, okay? So a month goes by, I'm in country about 7 months, 8 months. I get helicoptered. They come to get me. We're out in the middle of nowhere. He says, "You're ordered to see the commanding officer." I'm trying to make the story short, but really can't. What's for? I don't know. Typical. I don't know. Just get in the chopper. Okay, I get in the chopper. I'm flying back. 10-minute drive, flight. Land my headquarters. Walk in. They're expecting me. First sergeant says they're expecting you in there. Go in there. Here's my colonel. I never even seen anybody higher than a lieutenant. Sitting at a desk, and I'm standing at attention. Reporting his order. He goes, "Oh, you're in, huh?" Oh boy, he just shakes his head. He says, "Sir, I thought I did something wrong." He waves this thing in front of me, an envelope. "I got this manila envelope today, addressed to me." I'm thinking, I thought it was my mom. I thought somebody had died at home. I have no idea what he's talking about. He goes, "I have to proctor you," and again, at the time, I really didn't know what a proctor was, to be very honest with you, okay? "I have to proctor you to take an exam to be a police officer." Okay, so I figured proctor was probably like someone to watch over me. He goes, "So I have to do that now, wasting my time. He's already given me a lecture about wasting his time." I didn't ask him to do it, okay? Okay, so fine. So he goes, "Okay, I'm just standing there. I don't know what do you say?" All right. So it's a 2-hour exam, and why don't you go to lunch, come back, and we'll do this at 1 o'clock. Okay. So I go to eat. I come back. He's come back from chow. He had somebody set at the desk over here. He's a very busy guy. He's, in charge of 400 guys. He's a very busy man. So he goes, "Sit over there and take the test," and he tells the first sergeant, "Ready, go!" He got a timer out there, and he just goes on his work. He's not even looking at me. What am I going to do? How am I going to cheat? I'm in a room in Vietnam in a hut. What am I going to do? Go to the local library? Well, that would be probably in Japan. Okay, I'm going to where the library is. Anyway, so I took the written exam in Vietnam. Got done. Wasn't that hard. Just general knowledge, pretty much general knowledge, And so, I thought it was pretty simple, actually. I thought I aced it. So then I don't know what acing means, whether I did good or bad. I don't know what the criteria is. So I gave it to him. They had another envelope. He had to seal it, put his name on it, certify that blah, blah, blah. He said, "All right, get out of here." So I went back to what I did, back to what I was doing. Okay. So another couple months go by. I've got about 10 months in, getting ready. 13 months is our tour. I get a letter from them, the police department. "Congratulations, you passed the exam." And obviously it was some kind of an office pogue that sent this letter, because we like to get a call from me within a couple of weeks to set up an oral interview. Okay, hello, I'm about 14 or 15 hours from Los Angeles. I'm not taking any kind of oral board, okay? So I had to write them back, because in those days, remember now, these are days before, internet, phone calls. You could be able to call my folks. I called my mom, I think, twice when I was in Vietnam. You have to go through MARS, which is Mobile Army Radio. I don't know what the hell it stands for. You have to reserve a time, like, you're open from, You got 15 minutes tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Tell your parents it's the day before at 5 o'clock. Whatever the hell the difference was. I have no idea to this day. Okay, you had to plan a phone call. So I had to plan a phone call to someone. He gave me a number, and believe it or not, I actually found the guy. I hit the guy at the right time. And, you know, which is really amazing. Of course, the reception's kind of scratchy, but still. And I said, he goes, you're still in Nam? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, man. He goes, well, you call me when you get back. Sorry about that. I said, okay, fine. That was it. So, finished my tour. I came back, and I think I have enough time for the next part of this. So, I come back. I'm back, you know, I'm back on leave from Vietnam. And, of course, I have to tell my mom that I'm going to try to be a policeman. Okay, now when I first told my parents when I was going to be in the Marine Corps, my dad, who was in the Army in World War II, sat up in his chair and was pretty much beaming with pride because his son does the right thing. Okay, my mom, of course, you know, she threw out a bunch of rosaries and went out and threw holy water on herself because, you know, she's gonna die tomorrow. Okay, that's what they were raised, Catholics. Okay, so now I have to sit down with my parents because I'm home with them and I have to tell them what's going on. Again, I felt like my mom's head was going to explode. Okay, because here she, you know, she went through all this. You know, unfortunately, the news media hated our guts. The liberals hated us. They were showing every day Vietnam on TV, guys getting killed. I didn't appreciate that, but that's what they did. They love doing that. The media, they don't care. They're heartless people. And so I told them, okay, so now so I had to go in and take a physical. Okay, so I go and take a physical. I'm just replying to this guy's question about what I needed to. So everything happens pretty fast. I went in there on a Saturday and took a complete physical, hearing, everything. Stand on one foot, all that good stuff. And now I'm getting excited because I really wanted to be an officer since I was a little guy, and I thought, here we go. You know, I'm starting this, and it gets interesting. So then, like Monday, they call me and say, you passed the physical. Now you have to go for a psychological exam. Okay, so a couple days later, I go in for a psychological exam. They have a psychologist up there, has you draw a tree, part of the test, and then probably 200 questions or more. Do you love your mom? Do you love your dad? Do you love your sister? How many sisters do you have? Do you love your parent? Do you love your dog? It was just like a lot of repeat in here, okay? Just worded it different. Some yes, no, all the way down. Make a tree, draw a tree. Okay, so I drew a tree. Well, you realize later, I have a friend here who's nodding her head, it's critical to draw a tree. Psychologists have this thing down. I found out later on that the tree I drew was, you know, a big trunk with roots going out, and then I had branches on the top, and I had leaves. I had some apples. My dad grew trees. He grew plum trees and plums, apricots, and so that's what I related to. So I had them in there like that, and actually a pretty nice looking thing. You know, I'm not a drawer, so did that. So then, at the end of so when you're doing all that, you finish, you go into an anteroom, and then the psychiatrist comes out, another one, and takes you in for an actual one-on-one exam. Rorschach, ink blot test, and all that stuff. I think back now, I probably just said, oh, it looks like a vagina. It looks like me stabbing somebody in the heart. It looks like me. But anyway, I was so nervous. And scared that I was going to flunk this. I never had a psychology exam. Come on. And I just got back from Vietnam, so something might come out where maybe I got, with the post-traumatic stuff, I had no idea what I was going to do here. I didn't know what I was going to see. And they're very above board and very firm on this. I mean, it's very serious business. You know, I don't want you to look at it for a long time. And tell me within 4 or 5 seconds. You know, boom, what do you see? You know, butterfly. Boom, what do you see? I see birds. Boom, what do you see? I see a balloon. You know, whatever. Okay, fine. I'm thinking, man, you know, I'm sweating BBs here. I'm thinking I'm going to fail right out of the first level. You can see now if you follow all my videos, you know my chromosome's a little off, but that's okay. Okay. So anyway, so now the final thing is to sit down and talk to the psychiatrist after the Rorschach stuff. It doesn't last very long. Maybe I think you get about 20 minutes with him. That includes the Rorschach and all that stuff. Okay. So I'm sitting there and he's telling me that, you know, this is a critical test and you have to make sure you pass, and I'm going to evaluate, send my evaluations about you, this is to me now, to the department, and after this it's up to them, you know, based on my evaluation. Okay. He asked me, you know, like, you live at home, you have parents, your sisters, and real general information that he already knew anyway. And then he goes, have you ever stuttered in your life? And I went, no. And he looked at me like, you smart A, okay? And I looked at him, I just realized that what I did, and you've seen in my videos, I'm a pretty comedic guy. I'd like to tell jokes and all that, but there was no joking matter here, man. I was going to leave the Marine Corps 4 years, promoting quickly on a non-prejudiced entity, the Marine Corps, based on what you did, how they promoted you, not who you were, what you did. To go on this department, all my eggs are in the basket. I'm not trying to make jokes here, you know. He looks at me and I go, I am so sorry. I am so nervous. And he goes, all right. He goes, I thought you were going to mess with me. I said, no, sir. I am so sorry. He goes, all right. You know, I mean, I was like, whoa. I'm looking right at him, man. I'm not going to let him sit there and, yeah, that was pretty funny. No, that's not here to make funny jokes. Okay, I got a career coming up here. Turned out okay. I did 35 years of this thing, but, you know, I can't be doing that. He goes, all right. Looking at me like, okay. So he asked me some more questions. And he goes, on a 1 to 10 scale, how bad do you want to be a policeman? And I go, 20. He goes, whoa, really? Yeah. And I told you what I told him. I told him what I just told you. I said, I'm probably going to leave the Marine Corps, which I love. It made me a man and promoted me and gave me a really good 4 years, the best I ever experienced, to come here. So you got to really like where you're going to leave something you really love. I can go back in a year, but I think once I'm going to go, I'm not going to go back. Once I make this decision, I'm a person that's going to make it, and I'm going to make the decision, and I'm going to make it as a policeman, and I'm not going to look back. I don't consider this a failure, an option. I'm just going to do it. He goes, oh, very good, very good. He goes, very good. He goes, you're going to have an oral board next. I go, yes, sir, I know. He says, yeah, all right. He says, I'm not supposed to tell you this. I like the way he looks around. No, they're psychiatrists. They don't. He goes, I probably shouldn't tell you this. He goes like this. But I'm giving you a good evaluation. Because I thought, oh. Because they tell you ahead of time, you know, the shrink, everything's on the shrink. You look at your picture of your tree and all that good stuff. Okay, so okay, fine. So sure enough, within another 2 weeks, I get a call for the oral board. I think I'm going to run out of time here to go into that, probably. No? Okay, I'm doing good. So I get a call for the oral board. And side note here, I found out later on, way later on, that making that tree was huge. Because if you make the trunks mean solid, the roots mean a good base, the flowers mean that all kinds of other things. And I know guys that were security officers that failed because they made little skinny trees like one leaf. I don't know what that means. I found that out later on, so I don't know. So I made a good tree. Thank goodness for my dad. Okay. So now I go to the oral board, and they tell me to wear a suit. Well, I didn't have any suits. I didn't fit my suits. I lost like 40 pounds. I was just skinny as a rail. The only thing I could wear was my uniform. So they said, well, I called, can I wear? Oh yeah, come on in. You know, we've got a lot of Vietnam vets at that era. A lot of Vietnam vets at that time. Okay, so I go to the oral board. It was 2 sergeants, male, and a civilian, lady civilian. Go in there, sit down, introduce myself to everybody, and I'm really nervous because and I'm in full uniform, decorations, everything. So they asked me why I want to be a policeman. Could I take a life? It's standard stuff, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. So, so they're sitting there, and I noticed the 2 guys are staring at my medals. They're just looking at them while she's talking away. And then she got done, and then one of them says, "What's that one right there?" I go, "This one." Yeah, okay. Well, I explained what it was. Oh, okay. What's that other one over there? Because well, that's gallantry. Oh, okay. And that purple one's Purple Heart, right? Oh, yeah, it's Purple Heart. Oh, where were you wounded? I said, well, I was in a helicopter. I'm not gonna tell you all the story, but they were interested in Vietnam. None of them had been in Vietnam. They're both sergeants. They've been on the job like 15, 18 years, so they passed that era. They were outside of the era of Vietnam. So now I'm talking about Vietnam. And then she said, did you take any lives over there? I said, yes, I did. And they all just sat there. Because remember now, these orals are supposed to be, kind of docile and, clean, whatever you want to call it. Well, she said, how many? They were not really sure. And then they all looked at each other, and then the one started going, what do you mean not really sure? I said, well, I was a machine gunner in a medevac helicopter, and when we went down to pick up people, we see flashes off in the distance, and we hear the crackle of bullets and stuff. So we're firing our machine guns. I'm firing my machine gun at the flashes, back and forth, until the flashes stop, or not stop, and then we leave. Later on, they call in and say, well, after we left, patrols went in there and they found 12 bodies, or they found 15 bodies, or they found 6 bodies. And we heard later on that the body count was inflated by all branches to make it look like we were really, but even if it was just one, So I go, so there's your answer. I have no idea. And they're like, whoa. So they were kind of like in awe of me, and of course I was in awe of them. They asked me a lot of questions that were pertaining to my police work. I answered a lot of questions about Vietnam. And when I left, I could see she was really humbled by this. She really was. I think she'd never been around somebody like me. She just kind of, Thank you so much. And the other guys are kind of like, it was a good job, but she just looked at me like very nice look on her face. Like she was very thankful about this. I mentioned something about they hate us, and she says, well, I'm not sure everybody hates you. I said, well, the other two guys are going, yeah. I mean, it was a bad time. It was a bad time. So anyway, I got it. I got a 97 out of 100, and then they gave military people an extra 10 on that. So I had 107. So that means anybody that's not in military, I beat them out because they only can get 100, even if they max the whole thing. So a lot of us did that, a lot of military, a lot of military in my class. I'll get into that way down the road here as I explain what we did at the academy. But anyway, I'm running out of time here, so I hope you enjoyed that preliminary thing about how I became a police officer. Thank you so much.